Good morning, Kahal Kadosh, Shavua Tov Mevorach to everybody. Today, Monday, the 5th day of Mar Heshvan, corresponding to the 11th of October 2021. Today's class graciously sponsored by Mr. Ishaq Ben Ezra and family from West Bloomfield, Michigan, honoring Mr. Clemente Beda. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu give him arichut yamim v'shanim tovot. May Hashem bless him with health, happiness, and a long life. Amen. Today, we're going to switch about the topic. Today, we'll discuss a topic which is not a very happy topic, but I think that it's imperative to know this topic to avoid falling into a trap. The topic that we'll discuss today is the topic of nidui. Nidui, it's called excommunicating someone. Remember when we do the Hatarat Nedarim before Rosh Hashanah, before Kippur, what do we say? Nidui. One special prayer that we do is to remove the nidui. What does it mean, nidui? Good morning. Baruch haba, Shavua Tov. What does it mean, the word nidui? Nidui is the word nida. That's why the loss of family purity, when the wife is nida, what does that mean in English? No physical contact whatsoever. That's what it means, right? Nida. Nidui, in a way, means the same but worse. It's cut off. The person can go through nidui by a bedin. A bedin can put someone in nidui. And nidui, the way the Yoredea brings down, it means that that person, you don't engage in a friendly manner with him. I don't believe you invite him to the Sefer Torah. I don't believe he counts for a minyan. And even coming to the shul, he may be allowed, maybe if he sits in the back row. And different communities have different ways of how to act in this nidui. I remember that in Argentina, as a child, if someone did not accept the ruling of the rabbi, or treated the rabbi in a disrespectful way, you know what they will do? They tell the shamosh, take the koracha, deliver it to this person's home. That's it. Argentina. Send them a message. That's a known fact.
You got a tefillin delivered at home?
That's it. It's a sign that you better do teshuvah. But let's discuss from the Shulchan Aruch Yoredea what qualifies for a person to be put in nidui. Let's clarify that there are different levels of nidui. One is called nidui through the bedin. And then you have nidui bashamayim. This nidui of shamayim, it's much more challenging than the nidui al yedei basar badam. What does it mean? Remember Hatarat Nedarim. We learned this already. Hatarat Nedarim. One of the tikkunim that we do when we make the Hatarat Nedarim before Rosh Hashanah and Kippur is that if has v'shalom, our tefillot are in nidui. How can a tefillah of a person be in nidui? It says very simple. You made a promise, and the promise was not kept. Nidui 40 yom. 40 days your tefillot are in the air. They stuck in traffic. Bumper to bumper, they're not moving.
Why?
Because Mosa sefatecha tishmor ve'asita. It's a penalty. If you promise to do something, your word is your bond. It's not haki balash, the way people say. Talk is cheap.
Herem is the same.
The opposite, huh?
Herem.
Herem and nidui are twin brother and sister, yes. Herem is worse to a certain extent. Now, the herem is done al yedei basar badam. Nidui can be done through bedin or through shamayim. And that is the reason why Hatarat Nedarim is done 40 days before Rosh Hashanah and before Kippur. So if Has v'Shalom in this, my penalty falls into these 40 days, at least I recognize in front of the Bedin that I'm asking for the nidui to be removed. I gave this only as an introduction to the halachot that we are going to be learning today. You can follow it in the Shulchan Aruch Yoreh De'ah, Siman Shin Lamed Dalet, or open the Chok LeIsrael on yesterday's Perashat portion of Sunday. So comes the halacha and it says, the Beit Din has the power to activate a nidui on a person for 24 reasons. We'll start. Hamebazeh et ahacham. Number one on the list. You mistreat the hacham even shelo befanav. Even if he made a comment behind the rabbi's back. Guess what? I saw this yesterday. Yesterday. Not a year ago. Yesterday. And Yana de Yoma, yesterday, less than 12 hours ago. A certain rabbi was put, not a certain person, Mahila, was put on a penitence type of tikkun for making a negative comment about Hakam Batya Yosef. True story, Rabotai. The Yosef was the Shabbat. So somebody made a comment. Publicly. In a conversation. And a rabbi, a big rabbi from Israel became aware. He said, Puede bekenas. Be'afilu li'achar moto. Even after the rabbi is dead, sometimes we speak about Hachamim. Whichever rabbi it may be. If it's from the current days or from the earlier generations, and there are people that the tongue is quicker than the brain. And suddenly they make a comment, that rabbi, that rabbi, You're playing with fire.
Playing with a bomb.
That's it. It's an atomic bomb. Number two, Hamebazeh Shaliach Bedin. The Bedin sends a Shaliach, simple case, and I'm involved sometimes in this type of cases. Actually, I was involved in a situation a few moments ago of a herem, of someone that was put in herem by the Bedin for refusing to give the get to his wife. This happened less than half an hour ago. Today, that was my breakfast. My dinner was belittling the rabbi post-mortem. My breakfast was this case. True story. True story. I have a bar mitzvah soon that started at 8:30. So I told them, I need to take care of my date. That means all of you.
We have a wedding tonight.
No, I have an engagement tonight, B'Siman Tov. So Baruch Hashem, And I ask myself, Hashem, why do you all land on my lap? Why? So I understand why. Because this is the menu of today's breakfast. So it says, a Bedin sends you a summon. Let's say, Mr. XYZ, there is a financial matter, which by the way, this, what I'm going to tell you now, it happened today at 8:30. Before the Herem case, it happened at 8:30. I was asked to summon two parties to come to resolve a financial dispute. No, financial dispute with my wife, that's a different topic. No, talking about financial dispute, a service provider and a customer. Meriva, money sometimes, not a lot, but still. Before we go to the Bedin, that you need to write a summon and invite and pay a fee, both parties, easier, summon both of them to the office. Okay, what's the issue? Can you pay? You have a complaint against him? He says, he doesn't tell me that he has a complaint against my job performance. He doesn't say he doesn't have the money. He just plays and doesn't pay. So the Bedin sends a summon to this fellow to come. Mr. XYZ, please come and meet XYZ person at this hour at this time. And the person said, forget about it. I'm not going to you. I'll go to the Bedin. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. Automatically, mebazeh. He's belittling a messenger of the Bedin. Automatic. This is how you deal the Bedin. Nidun. Third, hakore lahavero eved. You call your friend a Yehudi, you're an eved. Eved means esclavo.
But this is a joke one.
No, it's not as a joke.
Even if it is a joke.
Even if it's a joke, the halakha writes that things that are forbidden cannot be done even as a joke. We know it's forbidden to steal. But let's say you got up now to make yourself a coffee and you left your cell phone on the counter. And a wise guy comes and he puts it on his pocket. And then you come and did you see it? No, I didn't see it. Maybe you left it in the synagogue. You went, you don't find it. You come back, maybe you left it in the bathroom. Maybe you left it in the car. I'm driving you crazy just to have fun. That's called an avon. Now, number 4. המזלזל בדבר אחד, אפילו מדברי סופרים, ואין צריך לומר מדברי תורה. A person who mocks even a takanat hachamim, or worse, a mitzvah from the Torah. Simple example. Remember last week we discussed the concept of candle lighting in honor of Shabbat? And a wise guy says, you know what? 21st century, no need to light Shabbat candles. I have plenty of LED lighting in my home. I have fluorescent, I have time-activated timer. I don't need to light the candles of Shabbat. I'm not going to spend the time of the energy. It creates heat. It makes my house hot, whatever hedge you want to give. Guess what? Nidul. I brought the candle lighting because it's a rabbinical commandment. Torah, it's worse. The consequence is greater. מי ששלחו לו בדין להזמינו לדין, וקבעו לו זמן, ולא בא. Next case, מסרב is coming soon. Not yet, this is not a מסרב. So let me explain to you basically the protocol of a bedin. A person opens a file in the bedin. I have an issue with Mr. So-and-so. So the secretary of the bedin, called Safra Synagogue, will ask, did you try to settle it? Did you approach him? I tried, nothing worked out. Okay, so the bedin takes the basic information. The bedin is not allowed to listen to the intricacies of the case, only that there is an issue between Mr. A and Mr. B. So the bedin sends a summons, an invitation. Mr. B, Mr. A has an issue. Please, we invite you to come at this hour, this day. They usually give a week or two so the person can prepare themselves properly.
Even if he doesn't show up.
Then wait, stand there. Okay? So this is invitation number 1. Then there is, he doesn't show up, like he said. Invitation number 2. He doesn't show up. Invitation number 3. After the third refusal to show in the bedin writes something called Michtav Seruv, a letter of refusal to show in the bedin, and that letter not only is sent to this person, but is also distributed to the community. And there is no prohibition of embarrassing this person, because the moment that this person rejected the bedin that is trying to make peace between two people, his honor as a person is gone. So you publicize his name in the community, and believe me, and I told you this in a while, remember the paper called the Jewish Press? I'm not sure if they still do it today, but many years ago, I used to read it, not anymore. Many years ago, I used to read it. I think that was the only thing available kosher.
A lot of entertainment in that.
Right, big time, yeah. But everybody's changing to that. And in the center of the newspaper, every week without fail, they will print a list of all the individuals nationwide which are involved in a herem or seruv. Some of them forget to their wives, some of them for refusing to come for financial matters. And that is actually the halakha. Because the moment that he was able to insult the Bedin, listen, at least have the decency of saying, you know what? I don't have a claim. I don't owe. You don't owe? Let's settle. No, we're going to go to court. And that's why soon it's coming, also going to court. So that's number 9. So we discuss a person who refused to come to the Bedin. Now you came now to the Bedin, and the Bedin gave a ruling that you're not happy with. So it says, now the Bedin says, Mr. A and Mr. B, we analyzed all the documents, we saw all the emails, all the messages, we hear the witnesses saying different matters on this case. Our ruling is that Mr. A owes Mr. B, let's say, $2,500. Now the person, and that's the one, number 6, he refuses to obey the ruling of the Bedin. I don't agree. Nobody asked you if you agree. So therefore it says, he's in Nidui until when? Until he pays the bill.
More than 40 days.
It can exceed 40 days. Or he says, you know what? I owe the money. I agree from the Bedin ruling that I have to pay him, but I don't have. That's a different story. No need to, because he's honest. Says, I understand, I have to pay. So the Bedin will say, let's make a payment plan. Let's make a payment. How much can you pay a month? Can you pay $500 and get it over with in 5 months? No, but I can pay $250. Okay, pay $250, everybody's happy. Number 7, מי שיש לו ברשותו דבר המזיק. A person that has in his property something dangerous. For example, a wild dog, a dog that is out of control, or a pit bull, right? Or a shaky ladder. Or we can add in today's society, faulty electricity. So in that cases, מלדין אותו עד שיסיר את הנזק, he must remove the danger from his home. Because danger doesn't mean only strangers. Danger could be to your wife, to your kids, to whoever it may be.
That can be defined in so many ways.
100%, but the halacha it's, transparent. Remove any danger from your home. In other words, if there is something, there's broken glasses on the floor, remove it. If there is a ladder that is dangerous, that is shaky, fix it or get rid of it. If you have a dog that is out of control and any times he sees someone walking on the street behind the gate, the dog is capable of jumping, that's also davar haram. By the way, I remember many years ago, there was a lawsuit because of this halakha in Miami Beach. I remember the case. Someone that owned a dog, and a dog jumping behind the gate, and the person was walking like people walk, and the dog started to bark and threatening to jump, that this person fell on the ground. I don't know what happened to her. Was a lady walking, and there was a lawsuit that the dog was gorem to her falling and breaking something in her body, and he lost the case. Says if you know that your dog is jumpy, you should have put a chain or don't keep him loose in your jumpy. You should have put a chain or don't keep him loose in your backyard. Number 8, A person who sells his land to a goy. What's the problem here? There is a halacha called bar misra. Bar misra in Baba Batra, I believe, is referring to when I have a piece of land and you own a piece of land next to mine, before I put it to sell, I must go to you and ask you, would you like to purchase my land? By the way, I had a case like this,
He's a Jew.
a Yehudi. Yeah, only if he's a Yehudi. The same halacha applies to an apartment in a Jewish neighborhood. That's why in certain communities, they will prioritize to offer the apartment to not only the next door Yehudi, to the entire Yehudim in the building. Because what happens? Why do you live where you live? Because you have a lot of Yehudim from the community there. Because it's close enough to the synagogue, right? And you want to make sure that the environment in the building is good. But let's put the building on the side, because for HUD, HUD, section, not section A, but the housing discrimination, etc., is a whole different shi'ur. But in a piece of land, בקרקע של ישראל, מן הדין אותו שיקבל עליו לשלם כל עונש שיבוא מהגוי לישראל חברו בעל המסר. It says now, not only that you are in nidui, but guess what? You're going to be liable for all damages caused to a Yehudi by having a Gentile living next to him. Maybe they do parties every night. Maybe they park in your lawn. Maybe you can't sleep at night because the music is playing loud. All that goes in your account.
To the individual who sold.
Yes.
How about if it's Jew by a house next to a boy?
Not a problem. Always before you buy, you have to check your neighbors.
Right. That's for sure.
Always.
I heard that.
Either way, doesn't matter.
The land in Israel or anywhere in the world.
According to this mahloket, one opinion says only in the land of Eretz Israel, because in Israel you cannot send land to a goy.
So that's a deoraita though.
That's the deoraita.
So this would have to be outside of Israel.
It must be outside of Eretz
Must be,
Israel.
Rabbi, even if the goy pays more for the property?
Doesn't matter.
Same thing in Switzerland.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, even if the boy pays more.
Up to 6%, a Yehudi has priority. That's called ona'ah.
So what would be
It's
what's the process?
more than 17%.
So if I have a neighbor next to me that's
You offer him, this is what I'm having for sale. Do you want it or not?
20%.
That's it. No? Okay. You did, again, this is not really too complicated. You go next door and you ask him, I'm about to put the property on sale. Will you like to buy it? How much do you want? I want this, He said, no, thank you very much. That's it. You fulfill. It's not very complicated.
Oh.
Number 9. A person who testifies against a Yehudi in a goy court system. The protocol dictates, according to the halakha, you first try to work out with the Yehudi the discrepancy in matters. That doesn't work, you move to the Bedin. That doesn't work, the Bedin, when they issue the letter of refusal to appear, automatically the Bedin will give you permission to go to the judicial court system.
they can't pursue it.
They can pursue it. There could be some exceptions that in certain cases the Bedin may say, based on our investigation, go ahead, we have the permission. So it says, what happens now? This Jew was called to testify against another Jew in a judicial court system. And now, because of the testimony of this Yehudi, that other Yehudi must pay a penalty. So according to the halakha, this Yehudi that testified, it's liable to reimburse the penalty to the Yehudi that he testified against. Why? Because you testified in a non-Jewish court system. And according to the halakha, that's definitely a huge avera. But there is certain differences in the halakha, in the sense of, if the liability of this Yehudi it's based only on judicial court, or if the Jewish law will be the same ruling. If the same ruling of the Torah is the same ruling of the judicial court system,
Secular court, you mean?
right? The nidui is 30 days only. Let's review the case. If the ruling of the court matches the ruling of the Torah, but because this person testified in a non-Jewish court system, so we still give him a slap on the wrist. 30 days nidui, because you crossed the line. If the ruling of the court is different than the Torah, meaning according to the Torah, he was free, he was exempt. But according to the court, he must pay, so this Yehudi remains in Nidui, and he must pay the penalty.
How often maybe cases like that?
I cannot answer the question, but they happen more often than you think.
But can a goy, can you testify against a Jew if a goy is going after a Jew, but this Jew caused you also hardship?
I will tell you the following. I cannot answer that question al-regel ahad. That is a question that needs to be posted to the Bedin, and let the Bedin, you have to hear all the details. You're talking in the air, a Jew is hurting.
No, but a goy cannot go to a Bedin.
A goy can go to a Bedin.
Yeah, but
I will tell you one thing. 4 generations, the Goim went to the Hachamim to settle the disputes, because they understood that the da'at of the Torah is emet. But just not to divert from the 24. Today we do 12, and tomorrow we do the other 12 guys at Hashem. I'm about to do number 10. Your question, it requires so many questions back and knowing details that only a Bedin, after hearing all the facts, can give you a ruling what to do and what not to do.
I had an independent company. I had a manager who was going, and she made a suit a Jew because of a debt.
Yes.
Now, I can't.
Nothing. You have to go to the court. When the matter of the dispute involves a Gentile, halachically you can go ahead and proceed it. But the whole idea is, in English or in Spanish, I think in Spanish, that's the one that I know, but I'll translate it in English. Don't do the dirty laundry to the public's eyes. Meaning to say, when 2 Yehudim go to a judicial court system to fight and to wage a legal war between them, it creates a Hilul Hashem, like it or not, irrelevant of the magnitude of the case. That's the foundation of this halakha. One more.
2 more.
3 more maybe today. 3 more, since you're well behaved today. Okay. Tabah, a shochet, that is a kohen, that slaughters animals to sell the meat. But what happens? There is a mitzvah from the Torah
The cheeks.
that 3 parts of the meat go to the kohanim. Zeroa, lehaim, kebab. The shank, the cheeks, and the stomach. And what does he do? Instead of him giving these parts to the other kohen, he says, I'm a kohen.
This is himself.
He pays himself. That's also wrong, because these are called matanot. These are gifts to the kohanim. Number 11, easy one to understand. Imagine yourself, we all know the following halakha. Outside of Eretz Israel, we have 2 days of the holidays. Takana of Hillel, Sefeka de Yoma. What happens if a Hacham Bashi today comes, a wise guy, and he says, you know what, from now on, since we know when the holidays are and when Rosh Chodesh is, and we are not relying on the testimony of looking at the location and position of the moon, no more second day of the holiday. The halacha is حرم. Why? منهاج أبوتينو بيدينو. עושה חדשות בעל מלחמות. Innovations or inventions which are not established in a proper halachic matters, it only creates war. It creates war between the people.
So what was the specific 1 on 11 that he removed the second day of Yom Tov?
He says no more second day of the holiday. I only observe the first day.
I'm from Israel.
No. If you're from Israel,
I've heard this.
there are no.
People-
Let's
I'm
clarify.
Israeli.
Right. That statement is not so clear cut. You can be an Israeli, but if you live in America, you follow Minhag HaMakom. You are visiting from Israel on a temporary basis, and you came for 10 days to America, and in the middle happen to be 2 days of the holiday. I'll let you one thing. You're not allowed to do anything forbidden publicly.
How about if the reverse?
1 second, wait. You come to the synagogue, you dress like Shabbat. You listen to the prayers, you listen to the Kaddish because you pray B'Yahid. So you gotta catch up. And if it's Chol HaMoed, you gotta do the Musaf with the Minyan. It's not so easy. Now, what happens if you go to Israel as an American? Clear cut halacha, with exception of a few scenarios, 2 days. 2 days, Bahor Yeshiva is an exception.
My granddaughter.
Seminary is an exception. If there is a possibility that the shidduch comes out, or you came to learn a few years to Israel, in that case you'll do 1 day. But overall, the majority, 2 cases, unless you follow perhaps a Hasidic custom. If you're a Hasid of this group, and in their tradition is to do 1 day based on rabbinical approval, that's a different story. Sure, there is such a concept in some Hasidic groups, not in the Sephardic world. Unless you own a property in Israel, you own an apartment or a house, not a 4x4 shemitah, no, and you spend 3 regalim every year, Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot. Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, you're always in Israel.
You can follow.
Then you follow because you own a property. It's written clearly in the Halacha. Number 12. העושה מלאכה בערב פסח אחר חסות היום. A person who works on ערב Pesach past midday. There is a technical prohibition of working on the afternoon before Pesach. It's a chapter number 4 in Gemara Pesachim. Why there is such a tentative prohibition? Because in the time of the Bet HaMikdash, they used to offer the Korban Pesach. And once the Korban Pesach was being offered, Yom Tov already started. Not for the way the Gemara explains, not for the prohibition of doing any forbidden labor, but your mindset. If we are offering the Korban Pesach in the Bet HaMikdash on your behalf, how can you be in your store of downtown Miami or in the flea market? You need to be home. You can do melacha at home, let's clarify. And halacha lema'aseh, that's exactly what we do. But once the afternoon of Pesach comes, say goodbye to your business world and start heading home to prepare. Although I will tell you that the chapter 4 of Masechet Pesachim, it's called Makom Shenahagu. Makom Shenahagu is that is based on the tradition of the town. If people stop working by 1 o'clock, everybody should stop working. If the people work, let's say, till 4 o'clock, then you can. But the idea, I believe, that the halacha is trying to tell us is that, like Shabbat, by the way, on the halachot of Friday, there is a mahloket in the halacha that says, Asur la'abod misha'at mincha v'ma'ala.
Beracha.
Now, it says, it's forbidden to work from the moment of mincha. Now the question is, which mincha? Mincha gedola or mincha ketana? Probably the businessman will say, mincha ketana.
It's wrong.
Mincha ketana, it's like 2.5 hours before Shabbat. Mincha gedola means like 1:30 in the afternoon. So why this halacha exists? Be'aoven, and whoever works will not see beracha. The same way working on Tisha B'Av, same halacha written in Purim. All these three halachot share the same concept. No beracha comes. Well, the question is, why not? I believe the simple and short answer is that if you need to prepare for Shabbat, or if it's the day of Tisha B'Av, the day of national mourning, or the day of Purim, the day of your salvation, what are you doing working? What are you doing working? You're going to think about Tisha B'Av making money in your store? Impossible. Going to work, it will change the mind of the person. Obviously, there are exceptions. For example, if a person must work, he should go after Hasod. If his livelihood will be deterred or affected, let's say if you don't come, you don't get paid. There are companies who are like that. There are companies who pay you weekly, and there are companies who pay you hourly. And if you don't go to work, they don't pay you. Then are you going to put food on your table? There are exceptions. But the idea is that a person must understand that preparations for Shabbat doesn't mean I'm going to go, take a shower, get dressed, and then come into the synagogue. Preparations for Shabbat is much more than that. Whatever it entails, welcoming the Shabbat, and especially the celebration of Pesach. I will say that we leave this class here today, so I can continue with my next appointment.
So what's the answer, Kvodo?
What's the question?
For Shabbat, mincha gedola or mincha?
It depends on the person, but the ruling is mincha ketana. That means by 2.5 hours before Shabbat, you need to be out of your work. You need to be on the way home, probably home. That's the reason why when the winter season comes, maybe not so much in Miami, but in New York, and people who commute to the city, on Fridays, they don't go. First of all, more than once it already happened.
They shut down.
Shut down the city, and no subway, snowstorms, rain, whatever it may be. So you need to be careful how you plan. But the whole idea is that a person should be always the one that welcomes the Shabbat, and not the Shabbat to welcome the person. That is the message beyond that particular halakha. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Hanani ben Akashia אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל לפיכך. הרבה להם תורה מצוות שנאמר, אדוני חפץ